Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. Hope you had a great weekend. Well, we'll start off the week in far away, moving to far away, shall we say, Benue and Taraba axis. And that's because of the long-standing Jukun crisis that we'll get some perspectives on today. In fact, my guest this morning, Mr. Osborne Addy, he's a public affairs analyst. He's from Taraba State. Yes. You know, in fact, in terms of, I said, well, we're looking at the Jukun crisis. Yes, yes. You are a Jukun.
Yes.
Okay. And then my other guest is Neros Johnson. Did I say Neros right?
Yes.
Neros
yes,
Johnson.
Got it right. Thank
Mr.
you.
Johnson is a legal practitioner. And also, you are from Taraba State.
Very well.
Thank you very much for coming. So we have the situation, we hope to get some sort of perspectives. Well, it'll be your perspective, really, because as I said, well, you are Jukun.
Yes.
But you are not Jukun.
I'm not Jukun.
You are not Jukun. And then the other party to this narrative, this story, would be the thief, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Now, it's a long-standing crisis, but it's not as if it's been centuries old.
No.
No, it's not that long. But however, it has been devastating. Reportedly, tens of thousands of lives have been lost to both sides.
Yes.
It has cost in the billions of naira, if not trillions, yes, since all of this has started. The one thing that is certain is that there seems to be a sort of a mutual distrust between the two, the Jukuns and the TVs. Let me start from there. That premise, do you buy that, or is that a mistaken impression that only outsiders might have? This mutual, long-standing suspicion.
Well, let me start this way. Mm-hmm. You see, over time, as a result of this crisis, this impression is beginning to build in the minds of people as to what really is the intention of the thief against his Jukun brother in Taraba State.
And does it work the other way around? That is to say, what exactly is the impression of the Jukun against his thief brother?
That is it. The Jukun man, in all honesty, if you ask the average thief man, he'll tell you he has never had any problem with the Jukun. However, the issue is not between, I want to make this point with all emphasis. The problem is not between the thief in Taraba and the Jukun. The problem had always been between the Jukun in Taraba and the thief in Benue State. You know why? The thief man, just like the Jukun man, is a farmer. And because of the shifting cultivation nature of his business, if a thief man farms yam here, and naturally that is how yam is done until recently, people are beginning to see, if you farm yam here, you leave the land to mature for a period of time before you come back. So the thief man in Benue, and also as a result of population explosion, mm-hmm, they multiply rapidly, mm-hmm, has now found a space in Taraba, which he feels nobody owns.
Okay.
He will now come into Taraba to ask you. I have about 15 of them in my own farm as we're talking right now, and I can mention their names. Mm-hmm. They'll come and say, sir, can I have this place maybe on lease, or give me, if you know that you know, naturally is somebody you know very well, you give it to him. We've been living with them on this basis for a long time. There have not been a crisis. However, in the past 2 decades or 3 decades or thereabout, any time, and most of these things happen during politics, the thief man, from our understanding now in Taraba State, from the Jukun perspective, wants to take over Taraba, southern Taraba specifically. For whatever reason, we don't know. There are thieves in Taraba State, they are in Yosha, in Uka local government, they are in Musa in Uka local government, they are in so many other places. They are in Takun local government, there's a paver, what we call Chanjanji, they are in Mela, and so they are in Tomusa, in Donga local government. There are so many places. We don't have no problem with them. Mm-hmm. But each time politics comes, the average man in Benue believes that he has a stake in Taraba. And the quest from I investigation discovered that they want to take over the land. Remember, it is not only with the Jukuns that the thieves are fighting. They are fighting with the people in Obudu. They are fighting with the people of Nasarawa State. They are fighting with their neighbors, Idoma. Until during Babangida, Idoma using their military might in those days, they had to create a buffer zone between Idoma and Tiv. If you know Taraku in Benue State, immediately across Taraku, there's a space of 5 kilometers or thereabout that is declared no man's land. So that is how they begin to achieve peace. They are fighting with Agatu. So all their neighbors. So it's the real issue is the tendency for expansionism that is causing this.
Okay, so so from what you're saying, Jukuns feel that the thieves are out to grab their land.
Exactly. Just like the thieves are accusing the herdsmen of land grab. That is exactly what they are replicating in Jukun land.
Now, let me switch to you, Neros.
Yeah.
It sounds complex, but perhaps not so to those who are there. Not least of all because between the two, Taraba and Benue, you find both tribes.
Yeah.
You find both of them
Sure.
in each of those states.
Sure.
Now, I've read some commentary, and it is that to the effect that the main problem would appear to be that people are not looking at issues with detachment.
Yeah.
Further, my limited understanding looking in from the outside further is that what is going on in terms of violence and all of what has been described by Osborne, that the spark to the crisis usually is criminal gangs, miscreants, area boys, bandits going about their own nefarious activities. But because there's a very strong tribal element involved, when Jukun youths or miscreants, so-called, when they go on the rampage, then what will happen is that you find TV people, simply because they were Jukun, coming to their defense. And it works the other way around too, without looking at the fact that, wait a minute, guys, this whole issue here, can't we just say what it is instead of bringing in these tribal ethnic sentiments? Now, is that an oversimplification of the idea?
Well, I want to take from this premise, just like you rightly said. On both sides of the divide, you have Jukuns that live in Benue, some parts of Benue. And over time, as a result of migration, the Tiv people migrated also into Taraba. And I want to tell you with every sincerity that as a result of that migration, the Tiv people settled in Taraba and have been so accommodated, have been shown so much love, with the result that a Jukun man sees a fellow Tiv man as a brother. And that does not stop there. We even intermarry between them. You have this intermarriage between the Tiv and the Jukun. A Tiv man is home and dry with Taraba State as his state of origin. And that is the more reason why when you go into public service, you see a Tiv man rising to the point of even a permanent secretary, directors. In the political space, you will find Tiv people being appointed as commissioners and special advisors.
Even though it's dominantly Jukun.
Exactly.
Yes, even though it's the dominantly Jukun environment. I'm just trying to tell you the level of affinity and the level of love that has been extended to them. But that kind of affinity and love and accommodation, to the best of my knowledge, has not been extended also to the Jukun people in Benue. Because I am not aware of any Jukun man that has been a director in the public service in Benue, or has been appointed special advisor or commissioner in Benue. But we're not looking at it. We've accepted, the Jukun man has accepted a Tiv man as a brother. And in every relationship of this nature, there is bound to be misunderstandings here and there. But once any misunderstanding comes up, we expect that you sit down as brothers and resolve the issues so that you don't give room for miscreants to take over, to hijack the situation. So if you see yourself as someone from Taraba and there is a misunderstanding that erupted in Taraba, A thief man should be courageous enough to remain in Taraba, not to run across the border, not to run over to Benue, to begin to look for, to give room for external interference from Benue.
Okay.
You know, you should, because in Taraba you have established authorities from the local government level to the state level. You should be able to ventilate your grievances within that cadre of authority, and not to leave Taraba to run over to Benue. And that is one of the reasons. That is one of the reasons where you find out that miscreants now hijack the scenario, which is most unfortunate.
And people, so the allegation goes, people seem to be undiscerning of this fact that, look, it is miscreants that are starting out this whole matter. Why are we not saying it like it is and dealing with it on a case-by-case basis? Why are we, as you just said, rushing across the border, metaphorical or actual, and getting support simply because of my ethnicity, simply because of that? It sounds almost too simplistic to be real in this modern day and age, and given the level of knowledge that people have now.
You see, that is what makes the whole thing more difficult. Because tribalism has taken the front burner in intergroup relations in this country for quite a long time. That the thief man would not detach himself from the wrong of his brother, even when it is glaring that his brother has gone wrong. That is one of the major factors that is affecting this crisis. Secondly, if anybody tells you that the Jukun is the aggressor, no. The Jukun will only defend themselves where the security are not readily available. However, going further, just like I said earlier, if the whole crisis are taking the angle of criminality, why would any sane person, in the name of the Thief Youth Forum, will go on the protest in Abuja? We are talking of Taraba State.
Yes.
Why would you go to Abuja at the Unity Fountain and mount a rally? You are accusing the governor and General Tiwa Danjuma of sponsoring the killings of thieves, of running a military camp where they are training militias. These are grievous offenses that needed to be taken upon. So we had expected that the security would have done their jobs by arresting those guys. Go and show us where these camps are.
Of course.
But nobody said anything. However, how would you, because they want the world to get their attention. So any name that will be relevant to their case, they'll grab it, they'll bring it in. Why would Tiwa Danjuma, for goodness sake, a general, the man who put his life at stake for the unity of this country, consistently, even after the Civil War, he has remained a major advocate in the unity of Nigeria, would descend so low to go and sponsor his people to kill the thief. Let me quickly add this to it. Do you know that what Tiwa Danjuma has done for thief in Thiefland, has done to thief individually and as a group, he has not done to us, the people of Taraba, we his brothers. I'm telling you, put it, it's on record. I know what I'm saying. I know him. I know him very well. If you okay, let's use one simple instance. There's not a Tiwa Danjuma company that you go there, you don't find thief people working. In fact, in some other cases, the population of thieves are more than those of the Jukuns that are working there. Check the records of Tiwa Danjuma Foundation. The project they've done in Benue State among the thief community, it has not been done in Taraba State.
Yeah.
Why is this so? I had cause to ask somebody who is very close to him. The man said, look, in everything he does, he follows his conscience. He does not want Tiwa Danjuma Foundation activities to concentrate in Taraba, and he will be accused of nepotism. It's a national project. He is a product of Nigeria. He's not just a product of Jukun land.
Sure.
Therefore, all his activities must benefit Nigerians.
Philanthropy.
If, as we're talking to you today, right now, as we're talking now, if you go to his office in VI, you will find at least 2 thieves waiting to see him or have appointments there. Right now, as we're talking. People don't know. You don't just rubbish that kind of a man because you are a young man who refused to grow up with the Nigerian values of respecting elders. Somebody is old enough to be your grandfather. And you said the governor is also a camping people. It's ridiculous.
Okay, that reminds me. This place you reached and you brought in the name of General T.Y. Danjuma, an illustrious Nigerian and an illustrious Jukun
Leader.
leader.
Jukun son.
Yeah. The whole. I was reading a news item the other day that some youths were accusing the general of silence, and that his silence was somehow not helpful.
No Goldie.
Not helpful to a resolution of the crisis. And this is at variance, near us, with the picture that he has just painted. So this further complicates the issues that, can't we make up our mind? Where exactly is the problem? It looks like there's an intention to avoid focusing on reality.
Sure. It is rather unfortunate to have leveled such allegations against General T.Y. Danjuma. A lot of people do a lot of things, and it must not be in the open. If he is working from the background to see how these issues should be resolved, he shouldn't come out on the pages of a newspaper to begin to play to the gallery. That aside, Taraba State has a chief executive. There's a governor in Taraba, and the governor of Taraba State is not incapacitated. He is not incompetent. He is up and doing.
Darius Ishaku.
Governor Darius Ishaku. He's up and doing from day one. Since the inception of this crisis, he has not rested. He has initiated a lot of peace moves. So if he is doing his best to resolve these issues, the Abuja protesters, do they now want General T.Y. Danjuma to come and take over the work of the governor? This is the question. The issue is just that they are just out to malign, to blackmail General T.Y. Danjuma unnecessarily.
Okay.
And with the accusation they raise against this eminent Nigerian, we will expect, perhaps they have some privileged security information that we are not privy to, or the Nigerian security is not privy to. They should be brought to book, let them be interrogated, let them lead the Nigerian relevant security agencies to those various camps or locations they claim General T.Y. Danjuma and His Excellency Governor Darius Dixon Ishaku are training militias. Failure, if they can't do that, they should be prosecuted. It's a criminal offense.
The governor of Benue State, Sam Otom, I've watched many interviews on television, read many articles, and he seems to be in this deep search for peace. And the impression I get is that not everybody is cooperating. It looks like people are not on the same page in spite of the best efforts of both, as a matter of fact, both governors, as he expressed it in such interviews. Now, I don't know what you would say about that. Even perhaps you guys know about the unity cap. It was in my looking, across the story that I found that the governor was explaining that, look, I'm for one and I'm for all. Yeah. Maybe even paraphrasing slightly General Buhari. Sure. I'm for everybody in Jukun and TV, and I'm for nobody. I just want things to be right. I have a job to do here. I'm the chief security officer. These killings can't continue, and so we're working at it. The unity cap I was talking about, he was saying that some colors are representative of Jukun, some colors are representative of TV, and then there are colors representative of Nigeria. And so really, he's talking about the embroidery of his cap. And so he carries this around as a symbol that this is what he wants. But the deep-seated distrust, I see that coming up frequently when the governor speaks. Can we, how, because it has led to villages being burned down, it has led to people being killed, it has led to displaced people, how, apart from the very, very simplistic argument I started out with, which is that the issue here seems to be that criminals have hijacked this whole situation, and the political elite, they have just latched onto it, especially, as you had pointed out, in the times of politics, when you are not owning the bad behavior of your people, whichever the side is.
So you see, the burden Governor Otom is carrying now is that the 3 local governments, where he went to the villa, he was on national television after a meeting with President Buhari. he came and said he has lost control of 3 local governments in Taraba State. There are some miscreants led by this guy that was declared the Ghana have taken over. That there were no police, no local government is functioning, no authority is functioning in those local governments. Unfortunately, these 3 local governments are the local governments that border Taraba State. So he has no control over the activities of the miscreants in that
because
area.
this is where the problem is at its highest,
Exactly.
the border area.
Yes, sure.
Exactly.
And part of the problem is that, look, they are indigenous. There are indigenous Jukuns, and I understand that there are also settler Jukuns. Did I get that right?
So on the part of
On-
Benue?
yes, on the
No.
part of, yeah, explain that to
No,
me, please.
it's not like that. They are, in fact, in the history of the Benue Valley,
Yes.
the chief came and made the Jukuns there. It's recorded in history.
Please.
It's recorded in history. So, the Jukuman, if you go to Abise in Benue State, the town was established by the Juku. At the time they established, the people were not there. They sent him in Makodi. They sent him, there's other pockets of small villages around there. Now, the issue is not indigene or settler issue. That is the question. This is the aspect. The thief in Benue who have overwhelming interest or whatever to take over Taraba are promoting. What do you mean by indigenous and settlers in Taraba? Whether the thief are indigenous or they are settlers. The thief man who was born in Taraba State went to a government-sponsored school in Taraba State, from primary school to university. He enjoyed scholarship. He took up work. He started work in Taraba State Civil Service. He grew up to be permanent secretary. As we are talking right now, the clerk to the Taraba State House Assembly is thief. So how does he be, if he's not an indigenous of Taraba, or if he doesn't belong to Taraba,
You can't hold those positions.
how can he rise to those positions? On the contrary, his brother, the Jukun in
Please continue.
the Jukun in Benue, is not given the opportunity. If you check this, the Benue civil service record, maybe out of 10,000 civil servants, you hardly find 10 Jukun, as we are talking now. This is an open issue. So, it is not that the Jukun does not want a thief, but the desire by some thief interest, vested interest in Taraba, that is what is creating all these problems. Meanwhile, let me tell you this. My friends, the thief who have run away from Taraba and are taking refuge in Benue, they always call, Osborne, what are people doing so that we can come back? As I'm talking to you, there are over 10 million heaps of yam. There is some heaps of yam farm that's not being attended to.
As you were saying that there's a lot of I don't know. I hesitate to call it a misunderstanding because the deep-rooted suspicion is not allowing for a misunderstanding anymore. It's saying no. You have it in for me. So there's this perennial problem going on between the thieves and the Jukuns, and I don't know where. Look, I've seen all sorts of efforts going on, in Taraba and in Benue.
Yeah.
I've seen all sorts of efforts going on at peace.
Yeah.
But why is peace eluding us?
Now the problem, one of the reasons why peace is eluding us is, man tends to be insatiable, making sometimes unnecessary demands and requests.
Okay.
Now, one of the reasons so that you maintain a position and say this must happen, this must happen. Now, one of the issues on ground now is a serious agitation by the chief people for a chiefdom to be created for them in Taraba. Now, I'm aware, and like any other person is aware, that the paramount traditional ruler of the chief is the Totif. Likewise, for the Jukun, the paramount traditional ruler for the Jukun is the Akuka. Now, if the chief are agitating, because these are some of the things that try to militate and try to frustrate the peace process. You make bogus requests and bogus demands that are not tenable. For instance, if you make such demands, granted that you are entitled to such to such a request, do you intend to get the governor to create a chiefdom for you by taking up arms? Is that the best way to go about it? Is that in line with the rule of law? Must you take up arms? If you take up arms, now lives are being lost on both sides of the divide. And you get a chiefdom. Who now do you use to pretend over? These are the questions. And then one of the issues again, that is also militating against the peace process. The governor is working assiduously. He has invited the traditional institution. The Totif came down to Wukari and met with the Akuka in Federal University of Wukari. And all these people are trying to see how they can get down and talk to their subject. As I speak to you, I'm aware that the religious leaders are also trying to see that they don't go to sleep. They also come to assist the government of the day to ensure that we have absolute restoration of peace. But one of the problems that has been making peace to elude us is this issue of rumor mongering. As I talk to you now, rumor is ripped at the highest point that the head of service for Taraba State is compiling names of thief civil servants for purposes of penalizing them. And that is total falsehood. That even adds more pain and more injury. You see, these are enemies. These are people.
So it
people that
goes back
peddle,
to the suspicion that I was referring to going on.
Which is unnecessary. And right now, the two governments, Taraba State government and Benue, they've set up a committee, a very viable committee. Approach this committee and ventilate their grievances. Let us see how we can have a roadmap, a way forward for peace. So these are the challenges we are facing. These are the challenges. People must learn to have this spirit of contentment. People should learn to be contented.
The chiefdom that you said is being sought.
Agitated for, yeah.
Yes, agitated for. Is there a large pushback, to that from, the people?
Well,
This chiefdom.
let me take it.
Oh, you know what? Let me go on a break so I don't have to interrupt you. Let me go on a break, come back, and so you can speak, uninterrupted. Right. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back, and we'll include your calls as well. Welcome back. I have two gentlemen with me, Osborne Addy, from Taraba State. In fact, both of them are from Taraba State, and he's a Jukun. I just said that because we're looking at the crisis going on there. And then there's Neros Johnson, who's a legal practitioner. He's not a Jukun himself, but he is from Taraba. And we were talking just before we went on break on some of the problems of achieving peace there. Now, the point we left on was where you brought up the matter of the Akuka, who is like the paramount ruler of the Jukuns.
Yes, he is.
And if I understand it, you said, well, another area of tension is that the thieves, if I understand it well, seem to be asking for a chiefdom within the domain of the Akuka.
Yes, yes.
That is accurate.
Yes, yes. And that is trying to bring back or to pull us back. It's like to frustrate the peace process, to ask for such a demand, to make such a demand at this point in time, when progress is being made to see how we can have a resolute, sincere, and genuine reconciliation between the thief and the Jukun, so that they continue to live as brothers. They are farmers. This is farming season. The better part of the farming season has been dedicated to crisis. So we have to wait for hunger.
So all the yam markets and all of that.
The pyramid, the yam pyramid, we do not see them.
Decimated.
Decimated.
Because
of the crisis.
Okay, you were going to, Osborne, before we went on break, you were going to sort of you were going to sort of comment on this whole issue of the chiefdom being sought, but I think it has been picked up by Neros. But Elijah.
Let me just add up.
Sure.
You see, the issue is this. Just like you said, it's a deliberate attempt.
Okay, let me come back to you because Garuba has called in from Makurdi in Benue.
Okay.
Good morning, Garuba.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in, sir.
Good morning to your guests.
Indeed.
You people are doing a wonderful job. You see, honestly, I agree and disagree with your guest there. In as much I'm living in Abinse, where one of your guests may point out, Abinse is a home of Chiku in Benin State. And this crisis has been occurring this month. It's just an outskirt town from Makodi. It's no more than 10 to 7 kilometers. Aside from that, Uncle Yori, I asked myself this question. The governor of Taraba State, that is Ishaku, he's marrying a kid woman.
Sure.
I stand to be corrected. If I'm wrong, until the guests will testify that. And he said something very vital. If you come to Makodi now, from Magodi to Boko, you will see Tiwa Danjuma Foundation. Nobody can dispute that. That's the truth, the honest truth. But I asked myself a simple question. This thing has been occurring this month. Let me tell you another one that happened last year. Close to airport here, inside Makodi. Crisis between Jukun and T. Minor crisis that they can dispute, that someone can settle within the area. What has been occurring this month? Whenever we are doing blaming game, we will not get the root of this situation. I agree with your guest there with Cap. I'm not a Jukun man, neither a T man. Well, I live in Benin State, like my second home. I know everything about Jukun and T. They are all farmers, they are fishers. And I know what is happening. Please, I'm calling on the federal government to intervene in this situation. Because in as much the both sides will be having blaming game, I don't see the situation as being settled.
Okay.
And will not be settled. I will give you another instance again.
Okay.
Look at what's happening in Katsina Alana. I'm calling on state governor, the Benin state governor, to rise up to his expectation, to his duty. His brothers are killing brothers. Keep Chukum aside. Please, I'm calling on the Benin state governor to rise up to expectation. They should be not doing the blaming game. And those youth that went to Abuja Unity County and protest, they don't know history. They should go back and read history. Young man, the man that went there and start protesting on allegations that he don't know. Me, I'm telling you, I see Darius Ishaku come and visit in in-laws in Boko.
Okay.
That's the honest truth. So I don't think someone that is marrying a kid woman will be sponsoring youth from his own tribe to kill his in-laws. I doubt it. That will not happen. Not this civilized society. Happen nice day in Lagos.
Thank you very much, Garba, for calling in. Okay, so to continue there, because it was good to have that
You see,
intervention.
the Akuka, who is the paramount ruler of the Jukun, he has his own kingdom, just like any other traditional ruler. In fact, Jukun is said to be one of the first people that arrived in Nigeria. We first arrived into what is today called Benue Valley. Just like I said earlier, the team methods. It's just, I don't know, sir, if you are familiar with Kano, there's a place in Kano called Sabongari, where non-indigenes populate the place 100%. They have councillors, they have whatever. But would it be proper for them not to organize a set and go and meet the governor of Kano to say that they must create an Obi or a chief or an Aku in Sabongari? Is it possible?
And that's the similar kind of situation.
So that is what our team brothers are asking for Nukari. They know that it's an imposicant. So if you are truly genuine,
An imposicant.
yes, if you are truly and genuinely committed to peace,
Yes.
he will not make these demands. And lo and behold, those who are making the demand, I will say consistently, they are not the thief that are in Taraba. Because there was for it. You know what? They are now refugees in Benue State. They pay every day for where they stay. Nobody caters for them. They make phone calls to us to tell us what they are going through. You know, at each time they bring attack to any Jukun village, those thieves that are in Taraba, you don't ever find them involved. Even those that were arrested, none of them is arrested in Taraba.
Okay. Joshua is on the line. Joshua from Irewolide. Good morning, sir.
Okay, good morning, sir. How are you?
Thank you very much for calling in.
And
Thank
my
you.
greetings to your guest.
Sure.
I think I'm their neighbor, so I have a neutral understanding of what is going on. And I would say that every crisis in Nigeria should make us look inwards rather than blaming external forces. You know, this chiefs versus Jukun Wahala is another is a microcosm Nigerian issue. You see, but I want to appeal to your guests, within the time they have, let us look at the situation from solution. They seem to be talking more about the problems. Now we're talking about farmers in the center of the thing. Sometimes the elite, the political elite, are actually disconnected from what is going on among the farmers. You know, some time ago, somebody was talking about the Benue issue, where headsmen were completely blamed for the crisis. And I was saying that there are internal crises within the Benue Taraba axis that have not been looked into. That sometimes this thing we call headsmen, they are people, brothers, hitting themselves, using the headsmen as a cover. Now, we are beginning to talk back to that issue, which we have run away from. That the crisis in Nigeria is beyond just an external force coming to dominate you and you are fighting back. Brothers are fighting themselves over serious issues of expansionist tendencies. I want to own that land. So they are using any name at all to promote their personal agenda. So these issues, let me say, is more like a Nigerian issue. I would like the federal government to stay up such a matter, that we are beginning to come to one thing, and which I think I will leave as a solution. There is need to devolve power to the lowest of the lowest. We talk about governors. I've not heard them talk about any local government chairman in this conversation. Don't we have local government, authorities in place again? The whole place is like one Buhari in Abuja is the only person now ruling Nigeria.
Okay.
We need to get down to what are our local government chairmen doing, because they seem to understand the farming situation more than we are talking about.
Thank you very much, Joshua. Appreciate your call. In fact, you really led on to what I was going to bring up. The point he made there that, and I've also heard, I've also, read about that particular point he made, that it seems like the elite are talking, the top level between governors and all the elite, they're talking, but there are those that believe that we're never going to make progress in as much as the ordinary person is not carried along and allowed to contribute, simply because, so the theory goes, these elite are really disconnected fundamentally at the regular level, at the level of ordinary life. Yeah, it's when crises happen, yes, the governors will come to those places, they will inspect, but then they go back. But the people that have to continue to live their lives are not involved in ideas for solution, which is really what ultimately everybody wants, a solution to this crisis. First of all, how would you react to that charge that perhaps there's too much top level without inclusion of regular, ordinary folk? Very much in the same way as they say that President Buhari can't understand what is going on in Isolo, and it is the Isolo people. Isolo is just a little area in Lagos. It's the Isolo people that have started this whole, that have this challenge, for example. I just use that as just one example. Do you agree with that? Or do you disagree, and can you show why? Are people really involved, the real people, the people whose lives are affected? Because at the end of the day, all these elites are not really affected. Yes. They are protected.
Yes, I agree with him. Because down the line, at the community level, the people that live in the communities, in the remote areas, they need to be carried along. If you want to have a true restoration of peace and then harmony.
Because they will be executing it.
Yes, they will be executing it. I believe that is one of the reasons that the two governors, that was what they wanted to achieve by the setting up of the Peace and Reconciliatory Committee. That committee, I stand to be corrected, I think has a mandate to reach out to these affected communities and hear from them firsthand undiluted information, and then to chart the way forward. But while the committee is working, it's not being given the enabling environment. And Why do I say it's not being given an enabling environment? Because of this idea of casting aspersions here and there.
The blame game.
The blame game, like we had in the Abuja protests. Those guys that protested in Abuja don't live in the communities affected. They came from somewhere. Not giving.
And all of these kind of things
now
are not
shortchanging.
they're not helpful.
They are not helpful, sir.
Okay, one moment. Mazi Okorafo in Abia, good morning.
Good morning, sir. I'm Jukun Crisis. Good morning, sir. Good morning, Mr. Adi and the other guests. Good morning, Sayuri.
Thank you.
Morning.
Now, you see, this issue of Jukun and Tifne is, we check now, if you take statistics, this is cost every year. This has to do with land. Because if you look into all these issues now, the land issue is always the major factor. Now, let me give you an example of what happened. I'm from Abia State. That's in Aruchuku. Now, we have boundary between Akwa Ibom, Cross River, and Abia State. And now, the boundary between Akwa Ibom and Aruchuku, there is a land there. After the Civil War, what happened? It was a serious issue between our people and Akwa Ibom people. What did the federal government took over that property? Up to today, from the end of the Civil War to today, nobody in Aruchuku or in Akwa Ibom will go to that very land. The property belongs to the federal government. And it's a plantation of palm kernel. If you go there, either you get that permission from the federal government, Minister of Federal Minister of Agriculture, or from the authority that is in charge of it before you have access into that very land. So why is it that, besides I'm asking why is it that the people there cannot solve such a problem? Because the area will solve this problem, because if we allow this to continue going on, the generation to come will be suffering it, which is not the best option for us. Nigeria is our country. We have no other place to go. What we should do is peace. Please, let the authority there find out how to solve that problem. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Thank you very much, Mazi Okorafo. Osborne?
Yeah. So,
He just made one. Everybody is trying for solutions.
The what he's proposing is very, very good. I mean, you see, the federal government will need to come into this matter at this point, because it appears as if it has overwhelmed the two state governments. Because how do I say so? It's the issue of security. When the governor will not have security at the time he wants, when there's an upright,
but there are commissioners of police in both states.
Exactly. The issue is this. Okay, like those three local governments I mentioned in Benue State, where they send mobile police there and soldiers. They are not stationed one place. They move from one place to the other. So they cannot cover, and the amount of the numbers, they cannot cover those areas.
So, okay.
They can't cover it.
So they're not exactly a fast response kind
exactly.
of unit.
Okay. They cannot, because if you are in point A here, between point A and point B is about 30 kilometers of jeep track, rough road, not jeep track. So before they even mobilize that place, the thing would have, the damage would have been done.
So if the federal government were to come into it, and I wonder if you also agree. Sorry, let me not lose. Let me not keep Yakub waiting.
Okay,
Yakub in Dokwemu. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Hello.
Hello. Good morning. Please carry on.
Good morning to your brother. For me, I think Mr. Joshua from Ilewole have said before. Let me just bust that some of the points that he made earlier. The earlier the better that we come to realize in this country that some of the major problems we have is a patch of ethnicity. Some of these various states in this country, some ethnicity carry atrocity against the other, and then they hide under the Fulani herdsmen. I came to realize some days ago when I read it on the social media that some priest that was got killed some time ago, and then that time that those priests were killed, and then the region that these people live, they claim that the herdsmen is the people that killed them, and then by the time the police do their investigation and then they made some of arrests, and then we got to know that the herdsman was not even the culprit. The TV and Jukun issue. It is the problem of the Nigerians, and then it's also a problem of Taraba State. The governor of the Taraba State to be able to move in, that is the issue where they are paying them the security force. some of our government, they collected security posts, and then when the problem or the clash broke out, they will run away, they will run to Abuja, begin to cry that the federal government will come to their aid. The security force that you are collecting, you have to make sure that you make use of this money judiciously. And then the city and Jukun issue, they should come to realize that the people that kill themselves, the elite people, their children, their daughters, their sons, they are not living in that state.
Okay, thank you very much, Yakub. Thank you very much. Okay. Yes, I think you were about to
Yes,
speak.
I was trying to explore this idea of involving the community,
Yes.
the affected communities, and trying to see that we have
Different cadres of the community.
yes, it will have a true restoration of
Yes.
of peace,
Not just the elite.
not just the elite. And you see, in the search for peace, you can't do away with the issue of security, and that's why I actually joined my voice with my colleague here on calling on the federal government, because right now the way the security apparatus in this country is structured, we will continue having challenges like this if we don't begin to look inward, begin to look at the concept of community policing. Because at the end of the day, whether in each state you have commissioners of police, whether or not they are actually answerable to the chief executive of that state 100%, it is another kettle of fish. It is an issue for you to find out in your investigative journalism, to find out whether those commissioners of police, are they truly, in the true sense of the word, answerable to the chief security, are the chief security officers of each state truly chief security officers in deed and not just in word. And that is why people have been clamoring for this issue of community policing.
Okay.
For instance, if we had community police, you know your terrain very well. You can easily apprehend any external aggression and then take action.
Because that's the point that has been made, that a lot of these issues and problems could have been nipped in the bud
Sure.
with a sincerity of purpose.
Sure.
Let me bring in Tunde in Ondo Town. Good morning, Tunde.
Good morning.
Please carry on.
Good morning, Yori.
Good morning, sir.
How are you today?
Very well, thank you.
I'm so lucky today. This is the first time I'm getting through.
Oh, we're delighted.
From Ondo, I thought you ignored Ondo totally.
Good to have you.
Yes. Okay, the guy on the left side, who is a Jukun, talked
You're talking about Osborne. That's Osborne.
spoke about tea, and he spoke on the side of Jukun. He didn't say anything on the side of the chief. I thought you would be fair if you brought in a chief to talk to the subject that you are discussing right now.
Indeed, that is the plan. That is the plan. But it's such a big subject that we intend to hear them one after the other.
But it's not fair, though, that only the Jukun is able to represent the interest of the Jukun there.
And then,
but from the way he spoke,
yes,
he represented only the interest of the Jukun.
yeah. But did you hear me that we shall also have an exclusive TV panel? You know, I hear what you're saying, and I agree with you, and we thought about it. So hearing it this time, you know, from the Jukun perspective, we shall also be hearing it from the TIF perspective.
Okay, but in any case, the guy who spoke about this local government being involved in settlement of problems like this,
yes,
I think he's just right on the bet.
Yeah.
He is right, and the local government should be allowed to deal with issues that are local in nature, rather than the federal government sitting in Abuja to dictate what should be going on in the local area.
sure.
So I would urge that your men there ask federal government, if they can, to ensure that local government issues are solved locally.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you very much for calling in, Tunde, and also appreciate your point, your observation. And we also had known about it, but it's such a big subject that I don't know the way things are going. You have the other side in here. There'll be too many backs and forths. But when we hear it in one unit from one side, and then we bring on the other side, in this case, people who are looking at it from because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what side you're on. As the governor in Taraba was saying, he has this unity. I know it's a little tiny item. A unity. He has a unity cap. It's about Nigeria. Yeah. It's about a united Nigeria, and it's about people living in harmony together. Yeah. As I said at the top of the program, this crisis hasn't existed for centuries. That's not the way it is. So what happened in the past? What happened in the past, and what has evolved now that we now have, quite frankly, bloodletting going on. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
And good morning to the guests there, too.
Sure.
Uncle Yori, what else do you expect with this issue of ethnic clashes? When a former president of the country is fueling ethnic crisis by accusing the current president of ethnicity, colonization, and whatever term he used. It is politicians that fuel ethnic clashes. That is the simple truth of the matter. Now to solutions. In addition to what Joshua said about involving the local government administrations in these things, I am posing a challenge to the National Assembly. Now that we have a sane National Assembly, to amend our constitution. It is not good in the way it is now for ethnicities. If I have lived in a place for 20 years, the current constitution says you can live anywhere, but it should be amended that you can live anywhere. If you live anywhere for 20 years or more, you are automatically an indigene of that state. These indigenous things they are talking about, what do they mean by being an indigene? Is there anybody that did not meet the land there? Everybody met the land there and nature there. The fact that you got there first or you were born there first doesn't make the land your own. In my view, there should be a way to neutralize this ethnic crisis of it is my land or it is not my land. And that way is to amend the constitution in such a way that it is the number of years you have lived in a place that entitles you to be from that place.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. As I was saying, it's such a big subject. Yeah, you can then imagine when we decided to go this way that, look, we'll do it in compartments. We'll hear it from the Jukun perspective, and then later on, following that, the part two, we'll be hearing it from the chief perspective, because we've no more than barely scratched the surface of this subject, and we've been gone an hour, But at least I would like to say that no matter how minuscule, we do have a sense, at least in part, from having heard it from you two gentlemen, Osborne Addy and Neros Johnson, some of the challenges, and also along with our guests, along with our viewers who are calling in, begin to have some sort of sketchy ideas as to how we might proceed. And for that, I want to thank you very much for coming on. Thank you very much. And you did involve yourself in a bit of wahala to come onto this program and traveling down to Lagos for it, and we appreciate that. Indeed. So that's our program, and it's important to mention that it's part of our program because it's only the part one. We shall be also hearing within 1 hour or so, whatever can be done within 1 hour or so, also from the TV perspective. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Iyori Folani. Bye-bye for now.